Yasha countries pay the state surnamed Su businessman doing business across the sea, suddenly encountered a storm at sea, merchant ships lost control and was blown away. When he opened his eyes, the boat drifted into a shore are indistinct deep forests. Su hopes to meet indigenous people, put the boat tied to the shore, dry food and dried meat back on the shore. Just entered the mountains, covered on both sides of the cliff and saw a number of large and small hole, like a hive too dense. The cave faintly heard people voice. Su came to a hole at the stop to the cave and saw a hole in the two-sword killer Yasha, uneven teeth as aligned as outside eyes suddenly, like a flickering lantern-like, they positive splitting alive the air with their claws, and then devouring eating. Su rushed, scared out of their wits, hastily bolted down the hill, but Yasha had seen him, immediately put down the venison. Su quickly to catch into the hole. To Yasha speak, like birdsong beast roar. Both Su Yasha scrambling torn clothes, as if instantly put him up inside like. Su scared to death, and quickly remove pockets of dry food, as well as preserved beef to give them to eat together. Yasha 2 minutes to eat, particularly tasty to eat. Eat again turns Su pocket. Su denies a status to them but no. Yasha was so angry Su came for. Su cried to them, you put me on board my pot, you can cook meat cook for you. Su to Yasha do not understand what to say, or angry. Su had foot gestures for a while, it seemed to understand a little Yasha. So, to Yasha followed Su came on board, and then removed the cooker back into the cave. Su points out to some of the firewood on fire, put to Yasha did not finish the venison cook dedicated day. To Yasha eat very pleased. At night, Yasha with a large stone blocked the entrance, as if afraid Su fled like. Su lying curled up Yasha from very far away, very afraid after all, inevitable death. After dawn, to Yasha out of the hole, before leaving again to plug the hole. After a child, Yasha back her hand, carrying a deer to the Su. Su stripped of deer skin, and from the depths of the hole to scoop the clear stream, respectively, with a few pot to cook venison. Soon came a few Yasha get together munching cooked venison. After eating, Yasha who are pointing to the pot seems to be too small. After 3 or 4 days of Yasha carrying a big pot, the kind with us common pot almost. Since then, the group Yasha from everywhere to hunt elk or wolf, to Su cooking. After the meat has cooked, Yasha were also greeted with Su eat. So, after a few days, Yasha and Su were gradually familiar, no longer go out to men. Su treated like family treated the same. Over time, Su gradually by Yasha their tone of voice to guess the meaning of their words, and often imitate their voices, said Yasha language. Yasha were more happy, so he brings the dominatrix letter to Su's wife. Su was scared at the beginning, not close to a dominatrix. Dominatrix actually take the initiative to make love to Su and her on the bed. Dominatrix thrilled. She often leaves some meat to Su eat, like happy and harmonious married couples with Su. One day, Yasha who get up early, are hung around the neck of each string of pearl Yasha, have been out the door, as if to greet guests like. Yasha let Su cook some meat. Su asked the dominatrix in the end as how. Dominatrix said today is Cheyenne Shao festival, which is Yasha King's birthday. Dominatrix who go out Yasha said. Su Lang has no bone protruded portion so they Yasha off from their respective 5 pearl beads be given to a dominatrix. Dominatrix and from their own beads off his 10 beads, add up to a total of 50. A dominatrix with a twisted rope wild Raimi wear beads and then hung on Zu's neck. Su saw each jewel can value 100 ounces of silver. After a child, Yasha are all out of the portal. Su just cooked meat. Dominatrix invited him to come out, said. Quick pick King Su followed dominatrix came to a big hole with a few acres of land so vast. There is a whole large stone blocks like the table is flat and slippery, surrounded by stone is a stone bench. A stone's first seat covered with a leopard skin, clad in deer skin rest on a stone bench. 20 or 30 Yasha turn sitting in a circle. After a little while, suddenly the wind comes up, dusty, Yasha were all in a panic ran out. Crashed comes a giant monster, with Yasha looks almost straight ran out into the hole, stand with one-legged leopard sat on a stool, with a sparrow hawk-like eyes glanced around. Yasha, who also followed him into the hole, divide the ranks of the team stood two things, one by one all looked up, crossing his arms in a cross on his chest. Yasha named to search their large turn, he asked, all the people here you're lying Mission Yasha had loudly promised. Big Yasha saw Sue, asked, this is where they came from it, said her husband dominatrix. Yasha and Sue have praised other cooking techniques, Yu Huaqian, there 23 Yasha ran out, fetch Sue cooked meat on the stone table, Yasha big hand to catch, eat very full, he strongly praised the taste of cooked meat too sweet, and responsible life after Sue contribution on time. Yasha saw a big Sue said your son how bony prominence is such a short period, Yasha who replied for him, just arrived, there is no provision that big Yasha off his beads from his neck, pick the next 10 beads given to Sue, this unusual 10 beads, each as big as a fingernail, round like a projectile in general, dominatrix quickly took beads on behalf of Sue wear and hung around his neck. Sue also put his arms across his chest gratitude to the big Yasha with language. Big Yasha got up and left, it is Cheng's Hao Fang and go, so the pace like also like to fly so fast. Yasha large left, Yasha surrounded them, but big Yasha left overcooked meat to eat after the cleaners only trapped by their own. Sue Yasha country in more than 4 years to live, suddenly produced a dominatrix. Her 2 boys a child was a girl, the way people are, unlike their mother. Yasha who are particularly fond of his children, but often gather together to fondle them. One day, Yasha were all out hunt food to go, Sue only one person sitting in the hole. Suddenly from the other hole a dominatrix do fornication and Sue refused her, that hag off, and Sue knocked to the ground. At this time, Sue hag back from the outside, a look at this scene, suddenly furious, rushed to grapple with the dominatrix, he snapped to commit Yasha's ear. After a while another child, the dominatrix's husband had come, after things such as to explain, Sue hag let them go back. Since then, Sue hag guarding every day, not a moment away from his left and right. It took another 3 years, sons and daughters will walk. Sue said that people often teach their language, children are also gradually learn some from their tender discourse, clearly reveals a person's breath. The 3 children, though still young children, but the mountains just like to go flat road. They are really close to Sue, often show affection and Sue Yi father and son. One day, a dominatrix with a child and a woman to go out for a long time did not come back. At that time outside the cave north wind comes up, Sue cannot help but sad thoughts far away from home. He took his son to the coast, then I saw him drift to shore the boat was still, so he and his son talked together go home. Want to tell his mother about his son, Sue did not let him go. So, father and son on the boat, after a day and night to pay back the state. When Sue home, Zu's wife had remarried. Sue come up with 2 pearl, he sold a lot of money, so possessions especially rich. Su Biao named his son, he can lift things weighing a ton when 14 years old, and combated nature Qmeng, pay the state's defender after seeing Su Biao think he is a genius, let him do 1,000 of the total in the military. That was when the war-torn border, Su Biao participate in a war every metropolitan exploits. 18 years old, Su Biao become party system management of military affairs lieutenant. At that time, there is a sea merchant to do business, but also encountered a storm drifted to Limeishan coast. Businessmen saw the landing just a teenager, some businessmen secretly surprised. The boy knows businessmen are Chinese people, and asked where his hometown. The businessman told the truth teenager. Teenager pulled him into a stone cave in the valley, outside the hole thorny, and never told businessman out of its hole. Teenager walking for a while on the back, he took some venison to eat businessman. Teenager told businessman my father also pay the state people. Beyond next merchant asked, before we know the juvenile's father soon, businessmen know he was in business. So he said to the teenager your father is my old friend and now his son became a lieutenant. Youth do not understand the lieutenant what do you mean? Businessmen said, This is China's Guanming Youth and Q. What is the government? Merchant replied, cycling is the official Zuojiao when we go out, paving the way. It was sitting on the dais when the dohi screams at the top, bottom, and there are 100 people in unison, no matter who he met, all afraid to face, but did not dare to stand straight back. Official called such people young, listened, especially admired. Businessmen said, if your father pay the state, why are you still here to stay so long? So, what happened in detail? The juvenile told the businessmen. Businessman advised him to pay the state back home south. Teenager said, I often think so, but the mother is not the Chinese people. The Chinese language and appearance are not the same, not to mention once found a similar, must be subjected to atrocities, so think twice. The idea was not sure, said businessman. Teenager before leaving, when the north wind blowing and so on, I'll send you the trouble, you go to my father, brothers there. I carry a message of businessmen in the cave. He spent nearly half a year, sometimes peeped out through the hole of thorns. I saw many Yasha walked in the mountains. Businessmen heart very fear, not to act rashly. One day, the north wind blows. Teenager suddenly came to the cave, pulling businessmen hurried to the coast. Former anchor, young businessman asked again, I entrust your thing, do not forget. Businessman promised. Teenager again, some meat on the boat desk. Businessman boat left the coast. After the merchant ship directly to estate, head to the Lieutenant Subiao's house, and saw and heard himself tell the 11 Subiao. Subiao listening to grief, we must go to find their loved ones. Su father worried, heavy seas, mountains, demons, too much, too sinister, this should not take big risks, so try to dissuade him. Subiao our grief, crying, Su could not dissuade him, so Subiao off going to pay the state's marshal, 2 bodyguard, then took a boat out to sea. Who knows, blocked the normal driving upwind boat, rudderless ship drifting at sea for half a month. Subiao looked around the boat, are surrounded by the endless sea, also near a confused, unable to distinguish the truck. Suddenly, high lang monstrous, Subiao, who boats were thrown instant. Subiao fell into the sea, with the waves rolling up and down, the ups and downs. I do not know how long. Subiao, what seemed to be caught, was towed to a place. That place actually has some houses. Made Subiao say that he is a monster, and looks almost Yasha. Subiao and his conversation with words Yasha. Yasha shocked and offended that odd, and asked him where to go. Subiao told him to go to Maishan Lang. Yasha said happily, Lang Maishan is my hometown, just offended you, it is a sin to leave now, you can lie. Maishan old road has been 8,000 years, and this road, and then move forward to wrong country, not to lie Maishan road. Yasha then sent a boat to Sensubiao road. Yasha pushing the boat in the water, the ship is like an arrow as fast forward, instant pass by thousands of miles, spent the night, to reach the north shore of the ship has been lying Maishan. Far to see, a teenager is looking to the sea. Subiao did not know lying Maishan human. Juvenile suspect is his brother. He came closer, it really is his brother. Brothers crying in hand. After a child, his mother and sister. Subiao asked how I was, and brother said they are healthy and safe. Subiao and his brother wanted to see his mother and sister together. My brother stopped him, and hurried away. Subiao turned around to thank this man off of Yasha. Yasha do not know when to go. Soon, mother and sister came, they saw Subiao, also tears. Subiao going to tell his own mother, the mother said, I'm afraid they're to be bullied. Subiao said, my son, in Chinese official, very glory of dignitaries, no one dares to bully you. Our family back to China, so it plans finalized, but they could not immediately suffer exactly upwind sail across the sea. Mother and 4 are hesitant, embarrassed when suddenly saw the ship sailcloth blowing south, blowing cloth sails howling sound. Subiao said happily, would God help me. The mother of 4 have been on the boat racing on the waves, like an arrow sparked countless white spray. 3 days later, Subiao to the mothership pay the state coast. People are scared to see them fled. Then, Subiao took off his underwear to his mother, and brothers and sisters were put on. To home, dominatrix Sisu loud curse, hate him not to discuss the left leg, Su again and again to her apology. Su Fu's family members approached the audience with her mistress, No one not scared trembling. Su Biao to persuade mothers learn to speak Chinese, wearing a grade silk, used to eat Chinese food. We are particularly happy heart. Dominatrix and her daughter usually wore men's clothing, with almost Manchu clothing style. A few months later, Dominatrix can understand some Chinese words, and brothers and sisters of the skin gradually white. Jiayoksu leopard brother, sister, child called night, their efforts are particularly large. Su Biao because they do not know over ceremony and often feel shame, then let his brother go to school. Su leopard is the most intelligent of the three siblings, whether through history, never forget. Su did not want to do leopard scholar. Su Biao let him learn to pull crossbow, manage boisterous. He learned martial arts, comprehensive examination of the military branch Jinshi, also married the daughter of the Arab-Israeli guerrilla. Su night child because the mother is Yasha, no one wanted to marry her. Su Biao just in time under standard garrison death of his wife Yuan. Su Biao forced him engaged to marry Su night children. Su night hundreds of children can pull bow stone wade, shoot birds than in Baiyu step. We were able arrows without false hair. Yuan garrison every battle, often with his wife Su night children. Later, Yuan garrison officer to rise to the general sub-prefect. He had to rely on established work half the night Su children. Su leopard the 30 for years, and India all army generals linked to war and became a commander of the provincial Green Standard Army. Su also hag with leopard Nanten, each face of the enemy. She is wearing armor, armed with knives halberd. Collusion sun reached the enemy. The enemy does not panic seeing fleeing. Emperor of her letters to Byron. Su leopard memorial for the mother refuses the offer. He changed the named lady. Different she said Mrs. Yasha things, really unheard of strange however, I think carefully, there is no rare Yasha every family has one bed in there.